From something like this to a pantomime.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So okay, life's funny journeys. So yeah, that was so meaningful. I was so deep in it, and then again I was out there attending plays and all that, and then I ran into Ivan. Now I told you Ivan, Swillian, and I used to be running around doing shows, right, instead of studying in the US. So Ivan you've done plays with everybody else. You don't like me, is it? How come you didn't write for me? Then I'm very you never asked, I said, okay, let's do. So every year they have a pantomime, and he asked me what I'd like to do. And I asked whether he'd done this before. He said, yeah, we were thinking about it, but no one's ever written. So I said, okay, good, Jack and the Beansprout, right? So yeah, I had Jack and his mother got relocated from Choa Chu Kang farm in HDB, redevelopment. And now they're trying to disguise their cow as a dog in a HDB flat. So cow, right? Cow, right? Okay, so yeah. So and then Jack is the most failed primary 6 repeat student ever. So it's Sebastian Tan among all the little kids. So he's stayed back so many years, he's grown up already. And his mother has been borrowing money to keep him in school. So I saw the money lenders want to break her fingers now. So he needs money to support his mother. So that was the premise that I created for them, and they liked it. So we went on with that. Yeah.
And actually, you then from there went on to write postcards from Rosa?
After that was a few years before that, my granny passed away at 80 years old. She's Nonya, and she actually looked after me while my parents were teaching. So for many years of her life, she had time with me. So in the funny spaces of the afternoon or evenings when she was with me before my parents came home, she would tell me stories of her life. So postcards was actually a patchwork, and the patchwork quilt becomes a symbol in that story. I had the patchwork quilt of her life in my head all these years. And I wrote it as a reply to Emily of Emerald Hill. Because Emily is of a fabulously wealthy woman whose son rides horses and how many of our families are there, Even Peranakan families, the majority of us are not that wealthy, seriously. We may have some money, but not that wealthy. So I wanted to write a piece that was much more down to earth, my grandmother's story. She thought she was marrying into a rich family, which she was. She married one of the sons of Lim Ah Pin. Lim Ah Pin Road is in Hougang, right? And my great-grandfather owned the whole plot of land between Lim Ah Pin Road and Florence Road. Florence is my great-grandmother, Florence Neal. And, so my grandmother thought she was marrying into a rich family, but she did not know it was an extended family full of lazy sister-in-laws who made her, the youngest wife, work, wash the clothes, cook the food, because she was capable. And so she had a really tough life in there. So I reflected all that in the story, right? And about a grandmother's connection with her grandson. So the grandmother fills her grandson's stories about all these wonderful places around the world, which her father told him about, because her father traveled as a businessman. And the grandson runs away to be an air steward. And this old woman's daughter blames her mother for filling his head with so many stories he runs away. So she is looking for her grandson in the story.
Is this clip that we're going to watch?
Yeah. Oh, this was a press preview in Penang, before the Penang Festival. Yeah. Yeah, the answer was Rempa, grind things. So yeah, so basically it was a granny looking for her grandson, and through the search for him, she runs through the story of her life, all the little things that happen that makes her life. So it was a very happy and sad piece at the same time. So it just relived all those stories shared with me. Yeah.
So is this why you started to paint Peranakan?
No, somewhere in 1991. No, in the late 80s, I was painting just because I was struggling then and no money to buy art, so I painted my own paintings. And I painted my own paintings, but I was painting all those traditional Chinese painting things, right? That look like, courtesans and all that stuff. And then I thought that they were very empty as they hung on the wall. And I thought, wait, I come from a culture, I come from Peranakans. My mother's side is all Nonya and Baba. So I started painting those. And at that time, I was with my ex-partner, and he was also Peranakan. And basically, we started painting Nonyas, and it was very successful. Many people actually acquired the pieces, right? So I started painting at that time in 1990, yeah. So it just is part of the background that was always available to me, which is why I write about it and I paint about it. So these are some of my paintings.
So you had different phases though to your...
Yeah, I started painting very beautiful Nonyas. They are very nostalgic of a time when we had time to do things, time to laze on a beach, time to daydream. We don't have that luxury at all now. We don't have that. When we run away to Bali and catch 2 days of that, we feel so happy. But there was a time in our lives when every weekend could be like that, I remember that because we went down to Changi with my family. We ate curry on a mat on the beach, with French loaves, there was time to spend a whole day building sandcastles. I mean, we don't have that, time for tuition, So,
And then that's why there was a shift, was there?
Yeah, no, well, I started painting very beautiful scenes, and there were still beautiful children. As I moved on, I got tired of beauty. I started painting more characterful faces. This is still pretty, and this type of painting sell very well. But later I started moving towards like this, which is a bit more macabre. She looks like a little pug, and I like little weird-looking children because I like them. They have character. Because they are not flattered, they are not spoiled, they actually have character. So I started looking for interesting faces this one has a story. My cousin we used to play with chicks and puppies and all that. And because we were a group of cousins, and my cousin tried to show off by putting a chick on her head, and it pooped on her. And we all laughed, and she cried, and she ran to her mother to complain that we were laughing at her, and she got a smack on her butt. Why are you so stupid? Why you put on the head? Of course you'll shit on you, lah. Right? So that was a memory, right? So I actually paint from a lot of memories, yeah.
Okay. And I want to talk about the wedding game because
Akachai came back again one day, called me up. There's a commercial project. Then I was like, actually I'm not very interested in film, I tell you why. Because in a movie, the producers come in with the director, and then the writer has no space. Literally, you write and then they change everything. And then your name is put up there, everyone says, you wrote that, So, but luckily the Beautiful Boxer was very tightly controlled by Akachai, so it came out the way we wanted it. But very often is the case, the producers have the last say.
Okay.
So I wasn't very interested except that he told me who were they trying to get. Fan Wong and Christopher Lee before they got married. And it was in the secret grapevine that they were going to get married. We were the first to hear it, right? And the producers had got their okay if we got a nice wedding story. We were going to go up against Jack Neill because we heard he was doing a wedding story too. And I said, okay, I'll hatch this really naughty idea because everyone was saying it was a fake marriage. Everyone said, no, celebrity marriage, not real, right? So that's what I wrote. I wrote about a fake celebrity marriage. They were just in there for the popularity thing. And of course, as in the manner of romance stories, they hate each other, but then they went into it and then they start liking each other eventually. And that was a challenge to make it believable. And I told Akachai, I will only do this if they want to do this tongue-in-cheek thing. Otherwise, I'm not interested in a frothy romance story. So they looked at it, they fell over laughing, and they said, okay, so it was done, yeah. They liked the fact that everyone's saying it's fake, and they did a fake movie, right? So that's quite good, yeah. That's fun.
But this was would you say this was kind of like the last big project that Akachai was doing in Singapore?
Yeah, he brought back the boxer dance thing, but that was a very small production. But I think the productions hatched here. I think that was the last one he did here.
And then he kind of like moved on to
He's been doing a lot of nice productions over in in Bangkok.
So this would have been kind of like, should we say, the end of your action theatre?
Yeah. Actually, Akachai left me with an amazing parting gift. He didn't realize it. I was here for a meeting, and then I knew he was leaving because he kept going back to do more and more work back there. Kept telling me that they load him with this project, that project, and you all know we're losing him because they were really giving him a lot of good projects to do there, and they treated him so well, paid him so well too. And Singapore, he has to beg for actors and all that to do his projects, and down there they have lots of beautiful actors, actresses doing. So okay, I understood that. So I thought I can still paint, I teach, I can do a lot of things, right? So maybe it's a new phase in life. Maybe theatre is, never mind. I might come back to it if I have a chance again. But let's see. And before he left, he was seated there outside in the garden, and with him were two people from Malaysia, Dato'
Farida, yeah.
and her husband, Joe Hashim. And Ekachai said, Des, come here. And that was like one of the last few times that, he was going to be here. And he says, Farida, Desmond Farida, writer, they have theatre up in KL, So basically, I just sat down and spent 10 minutes chatting with them. We got along. And then Farida said, hey, Desmond, okay lah, writer, okay, email me some plays. And I did that. I sent her 3 plays. She threw it to a young director called Christopher Ling, who just came back from the UK. And then, Christopher read it and says, okay, I want this one, And we have worked together for 4 years since, And so Ekachai's Leaving actually opened a new window. And when I went to KL, whole new audience, all excited over English language theatre, play readings, black boxes. I was like, oh my God, it's 1980s, 90s all over again, I get to relive my past, so exciting. And then they discovered my anthologies and they go, oh my God, this is not done here, So they started picking my works to do. So I got to relive everything over again. It's just like, wow, really a blast.
And now your play, Autumn Tomyam, is going to be part of, the 50.
Yeah, that was a
plays.
nice surprise when they picked it up as one of the 50 to show. Yeah.
So it's Autumn Tomyam. For those of you who are free, next Saturday we'll be getting a reading at the Esplanade. So come and join us if you're free. And I just want to ask you about this because Autumn Tomyam, one of top 50 Singapore plays, to be chosen, and you've told us about the story, of course. How does that make you feel? Because you've written 30 plays. And out of your entire body of work, they've chosen to feature Autumn Tomyam.
I'm both very happy, excited because, obviously people are recognizing it, but at the same time a bit worried because it's not the most representative of the type of plays I write, It has a lot of the elements of my style in it, but I'm much more poetic prose in it than any other play I've written, and also there's a sexuality aspect, right? I'm not worried about people thinking I'm this way or that way in my sexuality, but I've written so many plays, and to be just typified by, gay writer, I have a piece called Fairy Godfather. The main character is bisexual, and his wife, he passes away, his wife cannot accept it, his ex-lover comes back, complications. Right? So obviously I trust the audience will watch the other plays, read the other plays, and come to their own conclusion of what my body of works are about. But for any writer whose one work is picked out, you get very worried that that would be this lens through which everybody sees everything else. And then, at the other end, swimming instructor is done the most times in Singapore and Malaysia. And then that one is frothy and funny and, sexy. And again, that's the other end of it, right? My plays are very family-oriented. My plays are very, very in the home and all the conflicts and frictions in the home. My plays are from backgrounds, my background, my family, right? Painful things which I actually can't say when I was going through them in my family, and I'm sharing it because maybe other people get some sort of comfort watching it, knowing that that happens to a lot of people or some people, and it's not that bad, right?
So, and when you talk about family, for example, tell us a story of Teochew Porridge, because that's
that piece was about my father who passed away. I had a very bad relationship with him in my earlier years because he made some mistakes. I hero worshipped him when I was very young, and then he got our family into a lot of debt, and my mom had a horrible time at a certain point in her life. I felt so disappointed. I felt like, and I was unlucky because he and I always cross swords. He teaches physics and science. I am the literature grad. And he thinks Shakespeare is bullshit, and I think he's bullshit. And you know, and you know, that kind of teenage years, right? And then he gets into that financial mess, and then he promises not to do it again. And then I have to be the one to find out he's betting again, he's gambling again. You know, through some stupid twist of fate in our family where I'm cleaning something and I find all the forms. Why me, you know? So when he died, I was really upset because I had no time to sort that knot out that we had tied so long ago. We weren't in a bad space at that point already. We were past it and we had gone on with our lives okay. But I wanted to solve that because I used to be so admiring of him. And I didn't want him to leave before I could untie that knot, and he left, right? So I tried to write, but everything came out really, really smarmy and awful, really like, I wish you were back, Dad. Stupid, you know? And after I read it, I hated it. So I had to give it distance, and 3 years later, I managed to come out with Teochew Porridge. And that piece has been quite a favorite with some of the schools, and it's just the classic chasm between Asian fathers and sons. Our Asian fathers sometimes just don't communicate very well. They mean well, they don't communicate well. And maybe it's not the younger generation now because we have a lot of new age dads who actually talk a lot to the kids. But there's enough that's going around still because, you know, my KL friends read it and they go, oh my God, that's my father. So, you know, obviously there's enough of that going around still, yeah.
And now in this current phase where you're doing a lot of lecturing at LaSalle, yes, right, and at Temasek Poly as well, you know, what do you hope to pass on to your?
I don't know if I have anything of real worth because that's to be determined by the people I come into contact with. Mm-hmm. But I recognize something. When I was young, when I was precocious and full of nervous energy, I always looked up to older, wiser people to give me directions, and sometimes I couldn't find them. I hope to be that for, you see, I teach in 2 design schools. I teach in Temasek Poly Design School, and I teach in LaSalle College of the Arts. I used to teach the drama students art history and playwriting, but now I've moved on to the fashion students. I'm teaching them marketing, branding, okay? And I like these kids. They are little rebels, and they have different way of looking at the world. Some of them fought their parents to go and study fashion because their parents think fashion can't lead to anywhere. And I like to be there. I like to be there and say, you'll be fine. You just be the best at what you do and you'll be fine, you know. And be that guide that I wish I had, yeah.
And for yourself, later this year,
I've been away from Singapore for 3.5, almost 4 years, in terms of doing plays. So I've been commissioned to write a play for the Peranakan Festival, end of the year, November 3rd to 6th, I think. I've not only written a piece called Pintu Pagar. It's those swing doors, Pintu Pagar, all right? It's basically, those people in General Asia called it the Peranakan Romeo and Juliet. But it's ironic because it's not, because the girl, who's the main character, absolutely loathes romanticism. She got the role as Juliet as a 14-year-old, and she thinks it's stupid because they die in the end anyway. So, and you know, it's no point being romantic. And then the boy next door to her loves romance and sends her presents, and she hates him. And they end up almost 50 years of their life caring for each other, but never having the chance to be together because their lives, their families swept them away. And they just couldn't be together at the right time, right place for long enough to connect. And at the end, they have one last chance, and do they get it? I'm looking at love from a different perspective now. I'm looking at love as an older person who understands a little bit more about it and who knows that you can be right, you can be wrong, you can be both. You can love someone from far away. You can love someone that you're not married to. You can love intensely, and it need not be cloying. It need not be always together, but you can love. There's possibility, and it is a reality. So this play explores that in a very simple way, yeah. And then families get involved. So you know that's the complications as well.
So next week, Autumn Tomyam in the Esplanade, and then in November, Pintu Pagar.
I'll be directing that.
Yeah.
So that'll be
so
fun.
good luck with both
Thank
of them. We want to thank Desmond Sim this evening for sharing with us his stories behind his writings, and also we want to say thank you for being in the living room.
Thank you for all your work. You put in a lot of work for this.
So do join us again, and keep posted by signing on to the newsletter at Center 42, and you'll be kept posted as to when we see you again in the living room. So thank you very much. Good evening.
Thanks for coming.